So let's get real meta for a hot second here. I felt like shit before making this video, but it always comes down to the why statement. Hey guys, Alexa here, helping you to make sense out of spirituality and health-related shit. Today we're going to be talking about motivation and procrastination and how to find consistency in what you're doing. So I wanted to share a few different mindsets as well as additional perspectives that you can incorporate into your thought process that might be helpful if this is something that you are currently struggling with or have struggled with in the past. So I'm going to be building up to what I would argue is the most important point when it comes to having motivation and avoiding procrastination. But I wanted to start with a few things that I see pretty commonly and that I have dealt with a lot. So the first thing that you want to consider when it comes to motivation and procrastination is the way that you are looking at life. And especially in this day and age, the way that you are looking at other people. The culture of comparison that we have, especially due to social media, is just unreal these days. Until the internet, there was a point when people could escape from this. You know, they would maybe go home, and perhaps maybe that wasn't an escape for everyone. But conceptually, you could still detach from the concept of comparison on some level. Granted, of course, there was TV, there was newspapers, there was magazines. So comparison isn't something that is foreign to us, but the level to which we're subjected to it now is insane. Social media makes it so hard for you to feel like you're living your best life because you're watching other people live their best lives when in reality they're only posting about the highlights. There are so few people who post about the lowlights in their life that it really doesn't give us an accurate representation of how other people are feeling, and that can make us feel worse about ourselves. One really encouraging point though I like about being able to witness what other people are doing and seeing them success and seeing them thrive is the concept of mirrors. Anything that you love about someone else is something that you inherently and internally possess or could possess. Along with that comes the challenge of anything that you dislike in someone else is also a reflection of something that you hold within. It's gonna get real spiritual for a minute, but that's why in, for instance, martial arts, when you pay respects to people, part of the act of paying respect is basically saying, I see myself in you and I honor and I value that. So if you're constantly comparing yourself to other women your age who you may think are more attractive or more successful, or they seem happier, or they seem like they have their life together, and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life, that's okay. To me, the neat thing about mirroring is you can witness someone else in this state of success, and you can use that as inspiration. You can look at that and say, maybe this is not exactly where I am today, but this is a potential that I hold within myself, and I see this possibility and it's being realized within someone else, and I too can realize that possibility. I just have to transfer that belief from being completely external to becoming something that's a little bit more internal, i.e. something that I personally can achieve. Which brings us to the second point, which is extremely important when it comes to motivation, and that is your relationship with yourself. Subconscious blocks and feelings of unworthiness have been the primary thing that have held me back from doing the things that I have wanted to do with my life. And these can be tricky because a lot of the times, if it's subconscious, you're not consciously aware of what's happening in your thought process. So maybe on a day when I'm feeling a little bit unmotivated, I choose not to make the YouTube video. I choose not to work out. I choose not to have a clean, healthy diet and to not spend time and money on myself and my own health because it's deprioritized. And a lot of that can stem from a subconscious block feeling like I am not worthy of having these things. I am not worthy of being this happy. I am not worthy of feeling strong. I am not worthy of feeling fit. I am not worthy of feeling healthy. And granted, sometimes that's not true. Sometimes even consciously we'll think, no, I am worthy of that. But if there is still a subconscious block that's hidden deep beneath that, it can make it really hard for you to push through walls and to push through barriers when things start to get tough. I also have seen this reflected in my own personal life when it comes to procrastination, is this tendency I have for perfectionism. And if you are a constant perfectionist because you think I'm only good enough if everything is perfect, which I have completely dealt with, and I absolutely feel you if that's something that you're struggling with. But if that's the case, I've noticed that it causes me to procrastinate. Another piece of having a good relationship with yourself also comes in the form of putting yourself first sometimes. Humans are willing to put others before themselves because they see it as being selfless or kind or giving. It's the good thing or the right thing to do. When in reality, you cannot pour from an empty cup. And I think one of life's biggest lessons to me personally is if you do not take care of yourself, there's no way in hell you can take care of all the people you love and care for around you. But also be willing to be flexible. You don't want to stop living your life because you want to live the life that you think you should be living. In other words, let's say you go on a vacation and you could go to a gym and be, caught indoors for an hour, but you would justify it by saying, oh, I promised myself I would work out. And a really good way to stay motivated and active and just alive in general is to be willing to be flexible. Maybe movement that day looks like going on a hike outside. Maybe it looks like surfing or swimming. So this third point that I want to highlight is being able to be flexible with what life is throwing at you and understanding that everything comes in seasons, which takes us back to the idea of perfectionism. It's not always going to be perfect, and it's not always going to feel great, and it's not always going to be easy, and that's okay. So yes, you want to stay consistent. You want to stay mindful of where you would like to go, but sometimes that looks different. Some weeks I need to just focus more on my nutrition and focus on walking or yoga or doing something that's a little bit more restorative. And other weeks I have the capacity and the bandwidth to do more strength training, more aerobic training, more intense aggressive training, because everything else in my life is balanced in such a way that I'm able to build back up. And it's really important to get some level of self-awareness so that you know when you have the capacity to do that and when you don't. Because when you don't is when you burn out, and that's when motivation really starts to dip for a lot of people, is when they realize this is not sustainable. I cannot sustain this. So finding a way to make your dreams and your goals sustainable and being flexible with the path that it takes to get you there can also be really helpful. And if you are the kind of person where you want to put habits and routines into place, then my fourth tip for you is to just be conscientious of the commitments that you're making. And you want to start off small. You don't want to start out with huge commitments like I'm going to run 9 miles a day. Sometimes just getting started looks like, today I'm going to put my running shoes on. I'm going to get dressed and put my running shoes on. And that's it. And once you've done that, your mindset might say, well, we already put the shoes on. Maybe we should just go outside. And then once you've made it out the door with your running shoes and gear, might as well go for a walk around the block. And you progressively will grow into a place where you say, oh, well, I've been putting my running shoes on every single day and going outside and walking around the block. I might as well do it twice. And so these habits can come really instinctual because it's something that you started off doing and you started off small. Today, all I need to do is put my running shoes on and go outside and just take a small step every day, no pun intended. That's a really good way to just start gradually moving towards where you want to go. One of my favorite quotes is slow is smooth and smooth is fast. You don't always have to go 0 to 100. Sometimes it's best to go 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, so on and so forth. The fifth tip for your mindset shift when it comes to staying motivated and avoiding procrastination is saying things like, I get to instead of I have to. And that sounds super cliche to some of you probably, but it has been so helpful for me to just have an active practice of gratitude. There's people in this world that don't really have that opportunity, or that have that opportunity, but it is such a bigger struggle for them. And that's a place where you can detach from the perfectionism and start respecting the play side of everything and say, wow, I get to do this. I get to live. I get to do this exciting thing. And I understand that not everyone is in that mental headspace all the time. But if you're ever in a place where you're saying, I just don't feel motivated today, I encourage you to just write a list of 5 things that you are grateful for in this world. Every single time it happens, every single time you feel unmotivated, write down 5 different things that you are grateful for, and they can pertain to exactly what you're trying to do or want to do, or they can pertain to something completely different. But just getting your mind into that habit of when you feel unmotivated, recognizing that you are still grateful for things, recognizing that you are grateful for the opportunity to do them, can help you mentally shift to a place of feeling like you intrinsically want to do something just because you can. And this brings us to the 6th and what I would argue is the most important part when it comes to motivation and procrastination, and that is finding your why. Why do you want to do the things that you want to do? There's this beautiful TED Talk by Simon Sinek called Find Your Why, and what it boils down to is a lot of people focus on the what and the how, either of business or their life or marketing, you name it. So let's take a classic example of someone who wants to lose weight. The what would be losing weight. The how would be improve your relationship with nutrition and increase physical activity. But the why is the important part. And when you're low on motivation, that why statement is ultimately what's going to keep you pushing through. So for example, someone wants to lose weight because they want to model to their kids what it looks like to love yourself. That is a really big why. And sure, sometimes your why is vanity reasons, and that's completely okay, but you also have to recognize what your priorities are. So if your primary why is to be happy, and then your secondary why is to have a good bikini body, when you go out to drinks with your friends and they're offering you drinks and you think, I'm gonna be happier if I have drinks, and being happier is a bigger priority than having a bikini body, then it's a lot easier for you to choose happy hour. But when you have a strong why, those kinds of whys are a lot easier to pay attention to when you have temptations like happy hour with your friends. It's just having the conscious awareness of what goals might be competing with what goals, and why would you choose one over the other. 2 questions you can ask yourself also when it comes to finding your why is, where is my life draining me, and where is my life giving me light? The places where your life is giving you light are oftentimes indicators of things that you have a strong why attachment to. For me, movement gives me light. I love movement. Not everyone feels this way, but my primary why for working out is not necessarily because I want to look a certain way. Granted, I definitely do, but I know if I'm constantly going out with my friends and staying out late and that's draining me and I don't feel like I'm getting any kind of life source out of that, then maybe that lifestyle doesn't fit into my why statement. And for someone else that may be different, and that's okay. So let's get real meta for a hot second here. I felt like before making this video, but it always comes down to the why statement. I feel like my purpose in this life is to heal. Whether that's myself or the people around me, I'm not sure yet. It's probably a combination of both. My innate drive towards the concept of healing completely outweighs any comparisons that I feel I would be making to other people. It challenges the side of me that's a perfectionist and allows me to really explore that and move past it in a very rewarding way, to just say, this is more important to me than me feeling like I'm perfect. So knowing that my why statement comes down to healing my relationship with myself and my experiences with others and the planet around me, etc. The whys, the what's and how's of making YouTube videos and posting on Instagram daily and sharing content with people and putting my face out there, those little mundane portions of it become fun and exciting because it's fueling this greater passion that I have, this greater love that I have. If you want to stay motivated on your path with whatever you're doing, my encouragements to you are to use the comparisons that you're making with other people as mirrors and recognizing that the beauty that you see in them is something that you also possess. You just got to unlock it. And the relationship with yourself is something you should also dive into. If you are blocking yourself anywhere, that's an opportunity for you to grow. Understanding that everything comes in seasons and your lifestyle shifts may look different from season to season, and that's okay. All you have to do is remember your why statement and do what you can in the best way possible that fits that particular season. And know, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. You are slowly working towards the goal that you want to be working towards. Have gratitude and make sure that you say the words I get to instead of I have to. Incorporate intentionality with what you're doing as far as your movements. Maybe shaking things up a bit and being a little bit more flexible with what you're doing. And finally, most importantly, find out why it is you want the things that you want, why it is that you're striving towards the things that you're striving towards, why it is that you do what you do. And I can promise you that once you find your why, the what's and how's become a little bit easier. And it's not going to be easy every single day, but it will make the challenges a lot more worth it to you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure that you like this video if it provided any kind of value to you. Comment what your favorite tip was if anything in particular resonated to you. And make sure that you subscribe to my channel and press the notification bell so that you are notified every single time I release a new video. They come out once every single week. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful rest of your evening or your day or your morning or whatever time it is that you're watching this. All the motivation that you could ever need is resting within yourself. Thank you.